Retrocausality in science, philosophy, and psychology. All right, fasten your seatbelt, time traveler, because we're driving headfirst into the delightfully mind-bending world of retrocausality, the idea that the future can mess with the past. It's like your future self sending a text to your past self saying, "Hey, don't eat that burrito. Trust me." But instead of a burrito, it's the fundamental fabric of reality. Retrocausality, also known as backward causation, is the notion that effects can precede their causes, or that future events can influence past events. It's a concept that sounds like it was ripped straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it's actually a serious and seriously weird topic in science, philosophy, and psychology. So, take a sip of coffee and get yourself ready for this, because we're about to take a wild ride through the twists and turns of time, causality, and the human mind. Retrocausality in science, quantum mechanics, and the art of time-traveling particles. Let's start with science, dear viewer, because if there's one place where retrocausality gets to strut its stuff, it's in the wild, wacky, and wonderful world of quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics is like the nerdy kid at the science fair talking about how particles blur the lines between wave and solid form. Cats are both dead and alive, Schrödinger's cat, and time has a general disregard for our everyday understanding of reality. In quantum mechanics, retrocausality is associated with the concept of non-locality. The EPR paradox, Einstein-Podolsky-Rosen, and quantum entanglement experiments suggest that particles can be connected across space and time, potentially allowing for retrocausal effects. Take quantum entanglement, for instance. Imagine two particles, like cosmic twins, linked in a way that defies distance. Measure the state of one, and the other instantly knows, even if they're light years apart. Some interpretations, particularly the two-state vector formalism, TSVF, suggest that future measurements can influence the past states of these entangled partners. It's as if they're sending postcards through time saying, "Hey, remember when we were entangled? Yeah, that was fun." One of the most famous playgrounds for retrocausality is the delayed choice experiment. Imagine a photon, a particle of light, is given a choice. It can behave like a particle or a wave. But here's the kicker. The decision about how to measure the photon is made after the photon has already made its choice. Somehow, the photon seems to know what kind of measurement will be made in the future and adjusts its behavior accordingly. It's like the photon is saying, "Oh, you're going to measure me as a wave. Cool, I'll act like a wave back here in the past. No big deal." This has led some physicists to suggest that retrocausality might be at play. The idea is that the future measurement is somehow influencing the photon's past behavior. Another interpretation that leans into retrocausality is the transactional interpretation of quantum mechanics, proposed by physicist John G. Cramer. In this model, particles send out offer waves into the future and confirmation waves back into the past. It's like a quantum handshake across time. "Hey, future, want to make a deal? Cool, let's shake on it backwards." And let's not forget the theoretical physicists, those brave souls who dare to dream of tachyons, which are hypothetical particles that travel faster than light. If they existed, they'd appear to move backward in time, like tiny, rebellious, time-traveling gremlins. And then there are closed time-like curves, CTCs, and wormholes, those theoretical shortcuts through space-time that could, in theory, allow for time travel. Imagine popping into a wormhole, grabbing a past version of yourself, and asking them for next week's lottery numbers. Let the chaos begin. Retrocausality in philosophy, time, causality, and the grandfather paradox. If science is the playground of retrocausality, philosophy is the think tank where all the big questions get asked. And man, does retrocausality raise some big questions. For millennia, causality has been a cornerstone of philosophical thought, from Aristotle's four causes to Hume's regularity theory. The idea that an effect can precede its cause, however, throws a philosophical wrench into this tidy causality system. Philosophers like Michael Dummett have argued, however, that there is no philosophical objection to effects preceding causes. Dummett's argument suggests that our resistance to retrocausality stems more from ingrained habits of thought than from strict logical necessity. Retrocausality also invites questions about free will and determinism. If future events can influence the past, does that mean our choices aren't entirely our own? Are we just puppets dancing to the strings of future causes? These questions are enough to make anyone's head spin. The Exorcist movie, anyone? Some argue that retrocausality could be reconciled with free will through a block universe theory, where past, present, and future coexist at the same time. In this view, our decisions are just as much a part of the fabric of time as the events that influence them. It's a lot to wrap your head around, dear viewer, but it's the kind of mind-boggling stuff philosophers love to discuss. This leads to some mind-bending, brain-aching, soul-grinding philosophical puzzles. Take the grandfather paradox, a classic time travel conundrum. If you go back in time and prevent your grandfather from meeting your grandmother, then you would never be born, which means you couldn't go back in time to stop them, which means you would be born, and so on. It's a headache-inducing loop of logic, but retrocausality offers a way out. If future events can influence the past, then maybe the universe has a built-in mechanism to prevent paradoxes. For example, your attempt to prevent your grandparents from meeting might somehow fail, ensuring that the timeline remains consistent. It's like the universe is saying, "Nice try, buddy, but I've got this covered." Philosophers also debate whether retrocausality is even logically possible. Some argue that it undermines the very foundation of causal reasoning, while others see it as a way to expand our understanding of time and causality. It's a bit like arguing whether a burrito is a sandwich. There's no easy answer, but it's fun to think about. Retrocausality in psychology, memory, perception, and the power of precognition. Multiple laboratories have reported physiological and psychological changes associated with future events that are designed to be unpredictable by normal sensory means. Such phenomena seem to be examples of retrocausality at the macroscopic level. Julia Mossbridge, PhD. Now, dear viewer, let's drive into the psychological fast lane, where retrocausality takes on a more speculative but no less fascinating role. While retrocausality isn't a mainstream concept in psychology, it does pop up in some intriguing ways, especially when it comes to memory, perception, and the occasional foray into the paranormal. First, consider memory. Have you ever had a vivid memory of an event that seemed to be influenced by what happened afterward? For example, you might remember a seemingly ordinary day as being particularly significant because of something that happened later. This is sometimes called the flashbulb memory effect, where the emotional impact of an event retroactively enhances your memory of it. It's as if your brain is saying, "Hey, this day was important, so let's make sure we remember it in high definition." Some psychologists have suggested that this could be a form of retrocausality, where future events influence how we encode and recall past experiences. This is an interesting way to think about how our minds construct reality. Then, there's the controversial topic of precognition, or predictive anticipatory activity, PAA. The idea that people can have subconscious awareness of future events. While this is firmly in the realm of parapsychology and not widely accepted by mainstream science, it's hard to ignore the allure of the idea. One famous study, conducted by psychologist Darrell Bem, found statistically significant evidence for precognition. In the study, participants were shown a series of images, some of which were emotionally arousing. The twist? The images were selected randomly, but the participants' physiological responses seemed to anticipate the arousing images before they appeared. A bit wacky, right? Imagine if your gut feeling about something was actually your future self sending you a message. "Don't take that job offer," your future self whispers. "Trust me, the coffee and the boss there is terrible." Future life progressions, the opposite of past life regressions, a concept rooted in spiritual, psychological, and esoteric traditions, suggests that an individual's future experiences and choices can influence their current and past circumstances. This idea resonates with retrocausal theories, implying that the future can exert a causal influence on the past, and that personal growth and transformation can be driven by future events. By exploring your future life progressions, you may gain insight into the potential consequences of your current choices, allowing you to make more informed decisions and shape your own destiny. It's fun to think about how retrocausality might play a role in our psychological experiences. So, the next time you feel a strange sense of déjà vu or have a hunch about something that hasn't happened yet, just remember that you might be experiencing a little bit of temporal tomfoolery. Intersection of retrocausality and popular culture. Retrocausality isn't just confined to academic circles. It has also made its mark on popular culture. From movies like The Butterfly Effect to TV shows like Dark, the idea of influencing the past from the future has captured the imagination of creators and audiences alike. These stories often delve into the ethical and emotional implications of tampering with time, offering a rich narrative and intellectual playground for exploring retrocausality. In literature, retrocausality has been a recurring theme in both science fiction and literary novels. Authors like Philip K. Dick and Kurt Vonnegut have played with this concept in their works, challenging readers to rethink their understanding of time and causality. Retrocausality. Back to the future. A concept that blurs the lines between past, present, and future. Retrocausality challenges our understanding of reality in ways that are both thrilling and perplexing. Whether it's time-bending particles, mind-bending theories, or the brain-twisting secrets of the psyche, retrocausality whispers that the universe holds mysteries far beyond our everyday understanding. So, the next time you're pondering the mysteries of existence, dear viewer, take a moment to consider retrocausality. Who knows, maybe your future self is already thanking you for it. And if you're still thinking about that burrito, don't worry. Your future self has your back.